presentation here, but I'd like to actually give the stage to the company's CEO, Ms. Stephanie Warder. No, I don't think you do. It feels good.
Okay, so thanks everybody for coming. My name is Stephanie. I'm the CEO of Azure Lorica, and we've been at this for 5 years, so we have survived the 5-year mark. And the reason why I bring that up, which is one of the main reasons why we decided to have this event today, is 10% of nonprofits in their first 5 years survive. It's pretty sad. And then on top of that, the next 5 years, only 10% of those survive. So you can imagine how, how much challenge there is to stay alive for this long. And I also think that after 5 years, it's really hard to keep sight of what we're doing as a nonprofit. I feel like you get so caught up in, legalities or popularity. It's so hard to keep to the root of things. So we have events like this where we, test our opinions and our next motives on the public. And we have a lot of major announcements to go through today that we've decided to do with our brands. Eugene brought up brands earlier, and I think I should explain that a little better. Azure Lorica started as a nonprofit theater company. We still, in essence, are. But we started to notice something very unique with our audience, and that was we were getting mostly a teen and geek genre coming in, which was different. Usually theater is for, I hate to say it, 30 and older. And we were wondering what was the interest exactly. And we realized it's the idea that it's not your typical theater. I mean, we always brought in minorities, not because they were minorities, but because they did excellent in their auditions. And I've never based a role on gender or ethnicity. And I'm really proud to say that as a director. And I want to continue that. But there was just this openness, and I guess that openness allowed the floodgates. I mean, we have not had one production where we had not packed the house for at least half the days that we were before. And that's something I feel us as a new company has been very close to. But it also shows me that we have a responsibility. And that responsibility is to keep doing what we're doing and make sure that it touches and is useful for as many people as possible. So when we created our first brand, it was by toilet work. For a while, we were actually doing educational seminars at local anime conventions, and we taught artists how to promote themselves and how to get their websites up and how to use social media the right way. And we were approached by a comedy group, of all things, and that was Decoy Productions. Danny came to us. He was creating a stage for, there's Danny right now. But like I was saying, Danny came to us because he was making a stage for young talents, young comedians to test their material and allow themselves to get feedback and be honestly critiqued, which in the field of comedy, let's be honest, it's brutal and people are used to bashing people up, but we used it as a tool for empowerment. And then Danny got a little cocky and decided to tell me, I want to run an anime convention. You can imagine my surprise. We had just sponsored him in 4 months and he was asking for more. After some time, we realized that this was an opportunity for us to have a festival. And a festival is a great way of introducing the general public to really welcome themselves in art forms. I mean, there's panels, there's workshops. We gave a stage to performers. And till this day, we can say that NinjaCon is one of our greater success stories. And we're proud to have it on our brands. So after we created NinjaCon, we realized that we wanted to move onward and create more brands. People wanted to know about this stuff. People would always tell us it's a shame that there's nothing that covers these events out there, and there were plenty. So we created Lorica.com, which later moved into Triskel Press. And Triskel Press has now developed into something else, which is another announcement that Eugene will be doing later in this presentation. And lastly, our new brand, which is kind of our back to basics brand, is Driftloom. And Driftloom produces like what you just saw, which was nocturnal notes. We are looking for mediums where we can bring traditional acting styles to our audiences and do it in a way that's playful and at the same time educational. One of my greatest things that I love about Driftloom is, thanks to NinjaCon, we meet a lot of well-seasoned actors, experienced actors, people that are in the industry and they just want to volunteer. And I think it's just a success of the mentorship mixed with these experienced actors. So we have these new actors, these older actors, and it's about bettering the art for the greater good rather than tearing each other apart and being competitive, which is so commonly what we see in the media these days and what they want us to believe. But that's not the case. If we destroy each other, what art will we have left? So Azure Lorica's symbol is the Triskel. And the Triskel represents the future, the present, and the past, all working together simultaneously. And I feel like that is exactly what we do with every brand we do. We want to introduce the old arts with the new arts and bring them together in a way that is presentable to the present and make an impact on today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Danny. Danny has some very interesting announcements on our brand NinjaCon.
2008 at Anime Expo. In 2007, my cousin, I should say, kind of pushed me to do comedy. You should do it. You're a pretty funny guy. And I was like, yeah, you should do it. Just compete, and what's the worst that could happen? So I auditioned at Anime Expo, and out of 28, on my first try, I took first place. It was a complete unexpected. It was quite an adventure, a year's worth of comedy material. And then the following year, they wanted me to do another comedy skit, a closing act. And at the end of that closing act, I had like at least 3 people out of, I think, 700 people in that panel room that asked for my autograph. And I was a bit shocked about that. I've never had that kind of experience before. And I was pretty surprised about it. And I was like, you know what, I should keep doing comedy, at a convention level. And then I started doing comedy at Flappers Comedy Club, at the Laugh Factory. I started doing more and more comedy. But I wanted to, keep doing it as an individual, not as a production. I never thought of that until Anime Los Angeles, 2010 or 2009? 11. I actually went to this panel presentation, promote yourself as a performer, run by Azure Lorica. And I had a chance to sit down with them, chit chat, and explain to them what I was doing. I was doing comedy and getting more involved on stage, and theater and comedy are kind of like cousins. So I had the opportunity to actually proceed comedy under their roof, under their wing. and it's been quite an adventure doing stand-up for high school musical groups, nonprofit events. I'm one of the few PG comedians out there in the convention world, so it's hard to come by. It's really hard to come by to be a PG comedian, especially since I worked with kids at my church for the last 15 years. So definitely it's been a blessing to continue on doing the stages. And as a performer at the convention level, I've realized that every time I tell my friends, hey, did you check out my comedy? And they're like, either I get three answers. Either A, I don't have the money to go to such a large-scale convention, or, oh, I didn't know there was a comedy thing because the convention is saturated with a lot of industry presentations, or three, I didn't know you had them. So it kind of got me thinking. I was like, am I the only one that's being affected of, showcasing my talents and, presenting as an individual doing a show, not just comedy, but theater, music, singing, and so forth? Am I the only one being affected by it? So it got me thinking. I was like, Steph, Eugene, why don't I create a convention that creates a platform, a stage? And that's where NinjaCon came about. The way NinjaCon, the name, is we're the convention, we're the festival that acts like a convention that no one sees coming. Henceforth, a ninja. So that's really where NinjaCon came from. Really, our first year with NinjaCon, I was expecting roughly around maybe like 100 people. We ended up with around 300, 400 people. And then we had maybe about 1,000 people just hanging out in the plaza, just networking with one another. And this year, 2015, we have about 700 attendees, including registration, including industry guests and press. And we have about 1,500 hanging out at the plaza. So our numbers expanded. Even our registration team was a little bit overwhelmed by how many people attended the convention. So a lot of the guests of honors that we've had in the past have been independent artists themselves. They've been enjoying the community of anime conventions. And we act as a festival just so we can set up that stage for all of our performers, all of our independent artists, if you're into comic books, or if you're into manga, or if you're into music and so forth. Really, that's my whole strive as far as NinjaCon goes, and I'm really super happy that the convention that we run caters to that kind of community. And I talked to a lot of other convention guests, and they feel so home and welcomed with the concept of NinjaCon. And I'm glad to be on board with my board, and also the opportunity to work as a vice president of such a fascinating and great company. And I'm still around for Club. I've been with the board for about 5 years now. 4 years. Going for 5 years. And their teas are always amazing. They can give you the best tea recommendations. I wasn't a tea drinker, now I am. So, thank you. But that's pretty much what, how NinjaCon runs. If you've never gone to a convention and you are a bit overwhelmed by looking at pictures of larger scale conventions, NinjaCon is the best way to go to as far as getting a concept of what the convention life is like, but in a much festive, kid-friendly, actually family-friendly environment. So that's pretty much all. Oh, you do? Well, we have a video. Eugene will go ahead and queue up. Before that, any questions as far as the NinjaCon goes? Any questions? Anything? None? Am I gonna see you on the 3rd of June? Oh yeah, our convention now is gonna be 2 days. Before it used to be 1 day, so now it's gonna be a 2-day festival. So I don't mean it's all excited, like, yay! So we're gonna be a 2-day festival, still in the heart of Little Tokyo, especially since Little Tokyo is the hub of a lot of the anime enthusiasts that are in the area, so I'm out there. So I hope to see you guys then.